fast forward to working for Saban Entertainment again, like I said before. Huge Power Ranger fan. So you, I mean, as far as you helped produce it, you wrote on it, you knew you were a voice on it, like Saba. Um, and when I started seeing that, it's like, oh yeah, I just remembered like Brian Cranston. So you worked with Brian Cranston.
No, I actually left the show before he came. Before he came, yeah. So I wish I was I think I was gone 2 seasons before he showed up. I never got to work with him. Look, what we did get to do was create a show nobody'd ever done before. It was, and that was the difficulty and the fun of it is that we had to invent a new style of storytelling that incorporated Japanese storytelling but could be accessible to American audiences that like to be spoon-fed stuff. and so that was the difficulty, and frankly, we were all they had been trying for 8 years. It took 8 years to get that show on the air. They did a thing called they tried a version called based on Ultraman, which I and they made a pilot for it. It didn't do well. It didn't sell. But that was what put together Chaim Saban and Margaret Lowe, who ended up being president of Fox Kids. So the two of them liked that show. So when she became Fox Kids, we had a place to take the show that might actually take it because everybody else looked at it and went, no, nobody's going to watch this, including most of the people at our company. They said nobody's going to watch this.
What happened to the was it the toy or was it either the toys that made us or the shows that made us? Because there was
Well, the toys that made us is inaccurate.
was it?
Yeah, the lady who was telling all these stories about how the show was named, she wasn't in the room. I was in the room.
Okay.
Yeah. So she worked for the toy company. She worked for Bandai. She wasn't in the meetings when we named everything. She just wasn't there. And she claimed that she did it.
Because I'm trying to remember because like before before Power Rangers jumped out because like Marvel had a chance and they had is it Vulcan with the three main characters, but they kind of passed on it, but then circle back around the show called Power Rangers.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the toy history of that because remember Bandai was came from Japan. They already had the toy line
Right.
there. What Bandai did not have was a foothold in America, and Power Rangers gave them a foothold in America to now sell their toys, like a lot of them. So, they were intimately involved in the development of the show early on because we needed to coordinate with that. But the show was named in the back of a bowling alley while we were shooting the pilot. Quite literally.
So that works. It sounds good.
Well, we were on the second day of shooting the pilot. Hyam gathers. We were at a bowling alley in Canoga Park, California, and shooting this wonderful scene, which if you've seen the lost episodes, and it's in the original pilot. So there's a scene where Bulk goes down the bowling alley, and so we're shooting all of that stuff. And Hyam comes up to us and says, "Listen, the network likes what they're seeing. They're going to buy the show. So we need to name it. We need to come up with some stuff, and we need to do it right now." So we all gathered on a table in the back of this bowling alley while they're shooting over there, and we said, well, what are we going to call it? So and somebody said, I forgot. Somebody said something about Rangers. I think Ellen Levy Sarnoff, who was the development, we'll call it Rangers, Power Rangers or something. And he goes, no, no, we need, and I think this is what he got from the toy company. We need something with the same amount of syllables as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, same amount of syllables. So we back and forth, and somebody came up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, same amount of syllables, and that's how it got named. In that same meeting, we found out we were calling everything. We were calling him not Zordon, but it was called
Not Eltar.
Zoltar.
Zoltar.
Zoltar, and but that turned out to be the guy from the toy from Up, from Big, the machine that gives the thing from Big. That's Zoltar. So that was already trademarked. We couldn't use that. So so we were coming up with what do we do, and I think I'm the one that said I said listen, George Lucas made up all this shit, so let's make it up. We'll call it a Zord and we'll call him Zordon. I mean, literally, that's how in 10 minutes the essential stuff for the naming of the show and the conventions was done, and a table at a bowling alley in the back of while we were shooting the pilot. So that's how a lot of that stuff came about. It wasn't as elegant or glamorous, or nobody planned this shit. It was just we were reacting to the moment as best we could, and we happened to be right.
Interesting. I was talking to Bill Bunsen. He mentioned like when you talk to Tony. So did you pull for a Black Ranger?
No, that was something that we decided early on completely that we
Okay.
wanted a fully multicultural. We wanted all the melanin covered, you
Right,
know.
right.
And yeah, so that was something that we all wanted. It wasn't me or anybody else on that one. And Chaim Saban, to his credit, was the one that really pushed that, and he's the one that ran it. To the point was that when the show was up, and they were now selling it internationally, he went to Kirch Media in Germany, and they said, "This is great, but get rid of the Schwarze. They get rid of the black guy. They don't want a black hero on their TV." And he told them to go fuck themselves.
Mm.
Sorry. I thought that made me a fan of him instantly, because he gave. I always thought he was about money, but he was to a point.
Right.
But that's different. That was just not something he would put up with. So he eventually bought Kirch Media, which I think is funny because Kirch was a Nazi. So he's rolling over in his grave.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, but it's look, Saban Entertainment was the most diverse place I've ever worked at. Up in the executive suite, what language do you want to hear? It's coming out of something. Our office plant manager was a woman from Nigeria. And it was just the most. I heard Arabic. This is a Jewish company. There's Arabs working there. It was the most diverse place. So there was no way that show was not going to be diverse. It just wasn't. Yeah. We did, unfortunately, do micro things, and that Walter eventually came back and we talked about a little bit, little micro, what do you call it? It's not meaning to be prejudiced or bigoted or stereotypical more, but we did drift into that a little bit. But you got to, it's a bunch of white guys writing this. We did the best we could.